Good, now we're looking at common factors. This is part 2. Okay, let's look at some more examples here. Let's move this out of the way. And you have example 2, you have the following example on your handout. Right? Well, you have the following 2 examples. Let's start with that one, but okay, so you're asked the same thing, to factor fully 2x times x plus 7 plus 3 times x plus 7, right? So you look at these 2 expressions and what's common between them? Well, you notice that there's an x plus 7 and x plus 7. That's a common factor between these two. So what do you do in this case? Well, when you look at the binomial, you treat it as a single term, right? Pretend it's just a single term. Pretend that this is like 3 times y and this is 2xy, right? So then you factor out the y. Well, in this case, we're factoring out the x plus 7. So let's do that. Right? So x plus 7, keep it in brackets, right? And then let's open this up now. Open the brackets, and so x plus 7, right? What do we need to multiply this expression in order to get 2x times x plus 7, right? So we need to multiply x plus 7 times 2x in order to get this, right? And what number do we multiply x plus 7 in order to get positive 3 times x plus 7? Well, we need to multiply it. We know that the result is going to be positive, so positive x plus 7 times 3, right? And that is our answer, right? You always have to watch out for that, and always watch out for the signs as well. Okay, let's look at the next example here. We have 4s times r plus u minus 3 times r plus u, right? Well, I want you to try this on your own and refer to the previous example, right? We'll take it up next time, but let's look at some other example here. On example 3, right, you have this, and we have 3x times 6 minus y plus 2 times y minus 6, and they're asking us to factor out the common factor, right? Which, by the way, whenever you're factoring, always look for a common factor. That's how we always start, right? Later on, once you take care of that, then we move to other steps that will help us to factor expressions further. Okay, so here we're looking at these 2 expressions, and you may say, well, it doesn't really have a common factor. The only thing you might be saying is that 6 minus y and y minus 6 are similar, but they are not the same, right? However, we can make them the same. We can make them the same. How can we make this expression the same as that one? Well, if we just consider the 6 minus y, right, and look at this one, y minus 6. 6 minus y, what can we factor out of these 2 in order to make it look like y minus 6? Well, we can factor out the negative 1, right? So let's take a look at this. We can factor out the negative 1. So in other words, we already have 3x over here, right? So let's write that down, 3x, right? Let's put it in brackets. All right, now we can factor out the negative 1 out of this, right? So let's factor out the negative 1. In other words, 1 is always a common factor for every term, right? But also negative 1 is also a common factor for every term, every expression, right? So let's factor out the negative 1, right? Open bracket. So here, what number do we need to multiply negative 1 in order to get positive 6? What number do we need to multiply negative 1 in order to get positive 6? Well, the result's going to be positive, so this better be negative here. Negative 1 times what in order to get 6? 6, right? So negative times negative gives us positive. 1 times 6, 6. Okay, and then similar here. What number do we need to multiply negative 1 in order to get negative y? Well, if the result is going to be negative, this better be positive, right? Negative times positive, negative. 1 times what in order to get y? 1 times y, so y, right? And let's rewrite the rest of the expression. 2y minus 6, all right? But look, if we have negative 6 plus y, we can just write the term with a positive sign in front. So that gives us y minus 6, same as here, right? And we can already start seeing how there is going to be a common factor, right? Now let's take care of this negative 1 here. Let's not just leave it there. Well, negative 1 times 3x is going to give us negative 3x, right? Let's rearrange the order of that expression. So y minus 6 here plus 2 times y minus 6. Right? Now, just like the previous example, right? Is there a common factor between these two? Yes, we have the y minus 6. The y minus 6 is common between these two, so let's factor it out. Y minus 6 in brackets, and then y minus 6 times what in order to get negative 3x times y minus 6? Well, y minus 6 times negative 3x will give us that, right? And then, yeah, so because we need to get a negative expression here. So, and then y minus 6 times what in order to get positive 2, right? Well, it's going to be positive, the answer, and then 2 times y minus 6 will give us that expression, right? So, in our final answer, we can simply rewrite, you know, the ones with the terms with a positive sign in front in this expression. So we end up with y minus 6, 2 minus 3x. Right? And that is our answer. Okay, now let's look at the next example, right? Very similar to our previous example. 2y times x minus 3 plus 4z times 3 minus x, right? So I want you to work on this example on your own, and we'll take it up next time. See you.